He invited his poor ex-wife to his wedding just to laugh at her misery. But when she arrived, not only in a Rolls-Royce but with triplets at her side, the drums went silent, and even his new bride trembled. What happened next shook the entire town. The sun rose golden over the red earth of Kampala, a small but proud town in the heart of Africa. Birds chirped from the tall baobab trees. Children ran barefoot chasing goats, and the air carried the smell of roasted maize from the market. Life here was simple, yet every household had its own secrets hidden beneath mud walls and corrugated iron roofs. In one such household once lived Amara, a woman of rare beauty but even rarer resilience. She was known for her soft eyes that spoke more than her lips ever could, and her hands that worked from sunrise to sunset, fetching water, pounding yam, selling vegetables in the market. Life had never given her silk or diamonds, but it gave her strength. And once upon a time, life had also given her love. That love was called Kwame. Kwame was tall, broad-shouldered, and sharp-tongued. He had dreams that stretched beyond the horizon. While Amara believed in planting today so they could harvest tomorrow, Kwame believed in leaping today so the world would catch him tomorrow. When they married, the whole village gathered. Two young lovers starting life with nothing but each other. They shared laughter under the mango tree, whispered promises under moonlight, and walked together through storms of poverty. But dreams, when mixed with pride, can become poison. Kwame wanted wealth, and he wanted it fast. He would look at rich men driving land cruisers through the dusty roads of Kampala, their radios loud, their wives in golden wrappers, and he would tighten his jaw. "Amara," he would say, "one day you will sit in the front seat of a big car. But for that to happen, I must fly high." Amara would smile, her voice gentle. "Fly if you must, Kwame, but remember, wings are nothing without roots. Do not forget the ground you stand on." But Kwame forgot. He borrowed money from traders, chasing failed businesses. He joined schemes that promised quick riches but ended in dust. Amara stood by him, even when people laughed, even when debts climbed like weeds. She sold her jewelry, she carried baskets heavier than her own body, all for Kwame's dreams. Then came the night that changed everything. It was during the town festival. Drums thundered, women danced in wrappers, men drank palm wine until their laughter shook the air. Kwame, dressed sharp in borrowed clothes, stood tall in the crowd. That was when Nia entered his life. Nia was everything Amara was not, at least in the eyes of the world. She was the daughter of a wealthy merchant. Her father owned lorries that carried goods across borders. She wore perfume from Lagos, shoes from Dubai, and gold that flashed even in moonlight. Kwame's eyes followed her, and from that moment, Amara's heart knew something had shifted. Whispers spread like wildfire. "Kwame has found a rich woman. Amara will soon be forgotten. She gave him her youth, her sweat, her everything. And now he wants more." First, Amara did not believe it. She trusted her husband, even when she saw him walking Nia to her father's lorry at night, even when she smelled strange perfume on his shirt. But truth cannot be buried forever. One evening, Kwame came home, his face hard as stone. "Amara," he said coldly, "our paths no longer match. You are holding me back. I want a life of riches, and you—" He looked at her calloused hands. "You belong to poverty." Amara's knees trembled. She searched his eyes, hoping it was a cruel joke. "Kwame, after all I have given, after all we have survived." But he had already turned away. The next week, Kwame divorced Amara. Just like that, with the blessing of elders who saw Nia's gold and chose silence over justice. For Amara, those years were the darkest. She returned to her father's compound, where whispers pierced deeper than knives. Women pitied her, men mocked her, and even children sang cruel songs. She could not keep her man, she could not keep her home. But Amara did not break. She rose every morning before dawn, tied her faded wrapper, and went to the market. She carried firewood on her head, she fetched water for coin, she baked bread with blistered hands. Nights were long and lonely, but she never cursed Kwame. Instead, she whispered to herself, The earth that swallows seeds also grows forests. My time will come. And as fate would have it, her time came sooner than expected. Years passed. Kwame married Nia in a grand ceremony. He wore a suit imported from Italy. She wore a gown shipped from London, and the entire town came to watch. Amara stayed at home, silent. But life has its way of balancing scales. Nia was beautiful, yes, but also proud and cruel. She demanded luxuries that drained Kwame's pockets. When his businesses failed, she reminded him daily that she had married below her worth. Soon, Kwame was no longer the confident dreamer. He was a man chained by debts and ridicule. Meanwhile, Amara's quiet resilience began to bear fruit. One day at the market, she met Chief Adewale, a respected businessman from the city. He came to Kambala to buy fresh produce in bulk. He noticed how Amara organized the women, how her stall was always neat, how her vegetables were the freshest. "You have the eyes of a leader," he told her. That single compliment opened doors. Chief Adewale offered her a contract to supply vegetables to his hotels. With determination, Amara expanded, hired workers, and soon became one of the most successful traders in the region. Money flowed, but Amara never flaunted it. She lived simply, her eyes always on the future. Then came another blessing, one that shocked even her. After her heartbreak, Amara had sworn off men. But fate laughed at oaths. She met Chaik, a kind-hearted doctor working with a charity hospital in the town. Unlike Kwame, Chaik did not look at what she lacked. He saw her strength, her wisdom, and her quiet beauty. He courted her with patience, and eventually love blossomed. Together, they built a life filled with laughter. And soon Amara gave birth. Not to one child, not to two, but to triplets. 3 healthy, radiant children who became the light of her world. The woman once mocked as barren of luck was now a mother of 3. Meanwhile, Kwame's life with Nia crumbled. Her father's wealth could not save him from poor decisions. One business collapsed after another. Soon the once proud man was drowning in shame. Yet pride is a stubborn disease. When Nia finally left him, running off with another wealthy man, Kwame refused to admit defeat. He planned to marry again, this time another rich widow from the neighboring town. It was not love, but for Kwame, love was never the point. Wealth and reputation were his only gods. And so, he planned a wedding that would be the talk of the town. He invited chiefs, businessmen, musicians. He wanted to show the world he had risen again. But deep inside, a bitter seed grew. Kwame had never forgotten Amara. In his twisted mind, he blamed her for his failures. He wanted to see her humiliated. He wanted to prove she was still the poor woman he abandoned. So he sent her an invitation. When the envelope reached Amara's home, her neighbors gasped. "Will you go?" they asked. "Do not give him the satisfaction," some warned. Others whispered, "If you appear, he will laugh at your poverty." But Amara only smiled. Her silence was sharper than any blade. The wedding day arrived. The sun was fierce, the drums louder than thunder, and the whole village buzzed with excitement. Guests in colorful wrappers and suits filled the compound. Kwame stood tall in his white agbada, his new bride glittering beside him. He scanned the crowd waiting. His lips curled into a cruel smile. She will come crawling, he thought. She will come in her old wrapper, her dusty sandals, her shame for all to see. And I will laugh. The music stopped suddenly. Heads turned toward the road. And there it was. A Rolls-Royce Phantom, its silver body gleaming like a mirror under the African sun, rolled slowly into the compound. Dust rose, children screamed in awe, women covered their mouths, and men muttered in disbelief. The car door opened. Out stepped Amara. Not in rags. Not in faded wrappers. She wore a flowing emerald gown that shimmered like water under moonlight. Around her neck hung simple but elegant jewelry. Her head wrapped in royal fabric. Her skin glowed, her eyes calm but sharp. And then gasps filled the air. From the car came 3 children. Triplets. 2 boys and a girl, dressed in matching attire, holding their mother's hands. Their resemblance to Amara was striking, their presence majestic. The crowd erupted into whispers. Is that Amara? The same Amara who was abandoned. She came in a Rolls-Royce. And with triplets. Kwame's jaw dropped. His hands trembled. His new bride stiffened beside him. For the first time in his life, Kwame had no words. Amara walked with steady grace, every step echoing louder than the drums. She did not look at Kwame, not at first. She walked straight to the elders, greeted them with respect, and only then turned to face the man who once threw her away. And when their eyes met, silence swept through the compound. You could have heard a needle drop in the compound. The drummers forgot to beat their drums, the dancers froze mid-step, and the guests sat wide-eyed, their mouths open. Kwame's face turned pale, his arrogance melting like butter under fire. His plan to shame Amara had just collapsed in front of the entire village. Instead of arriving in dust-stained wrappers, she had come as a queen, graceful, radiant, untouchable. And those triplets, they were like a crown upon her head, proof of blessings no one expected. Amara, Kwame muttered, his voice trembling. His hands shaking so badly he dropped his wine cup. But Amara. She stood tall, her children's hands firmly in hers, her face calm as a still river. She did not raise her voice, she did not boast, but her presence alone screamed louder than any insult could. Guests began to murmur, loud enough for Kwame to hear. Did you see the car she came in? A Rolls-Royce. Not even the governor drives such here. And triplets too. God has truly favored her. Kwame thought he would disgrace her, but see how disgrace has turned to his own head. Kwame's new bride, Abani, shifted uncomfortably. Her gold bangles clinked as she crossed her arms, her eyes darting from Amara to the silent crowd. She could feel the air changing. The admiration that should have been hers was now stolen by the ex-wife she had once mocked in her heart. Finally, Amara turned her gaze to Kwame. Her eyes were steady, not angry, not bitter, but powerful in their calm. Kwame, she said softly, but her voice carried across the entire compound. You called me here today. Her words cut through the air. Everyone leaned closer. You wished for me to come and bow my head in shame before you and your guests. You thought I was still the woman you left behind, empty-handed, mocked, with nothing but tears. But God is not mocked. What you cast away, He lifted higher. What you called worthless, He crowned with honor. The elders shifted uncomfortably. Some nodded, others muttered prayers under their breath. Kwame swallowed hard, sweat rolling down his forehead. Amara. I didn't mean. But before he could finish, one of the triplets, the little girl with sparkling eyes, tugged her mother's gown. She looked straight at Kwame and asked in the innocent voice of a child, Mama, is this the man who made you cry? The crowd gasped. Kwame stumbled backward as if struck by lightning. The weight of shame pressed heavily on him. Amara bent to her daughter's height, her smile tender. Yes, my child. Once long ago. But we do not repay hurt with hurt. We repay with strength. She straightened up again, her voice now addressing everyone present. After Kwame left me, I thought my world was over. I walked barefoot, I was laughed at, I was spat upon. But in that valley of shame, God lifted me. He sent me opportunities, He gave me strength, He brought people who saw my worth. And then He gave me a husband who loves me truly, a man of honor, a man who sees beyond riches. With him I was blessed with these 3 children. Today I stand not to boast, but to show that no one's destiny is in another person's hands. If you are cast aside, it does not mean you are finished. It only means your story is about to turn. The crowd broke into applause. Women ululated, elders nodded in respect, and even some of Kwame's friends whispered, She speaks truth. She is indeed a woman of strength. Kwame's knees gave way, and he sank onto a stool. He covered his face with his hands, but it could not hide his humiliation. The man who wanted to disgrace another was now the one disgraced before his entire village. His new bride hissed under her breath. So this is the ex-wife you mocked. This queen. And you thought you were marrying higher. She pushed away from him, her pride wounded. You are a fool, Kwame. Even in your wedding, your past shines brighter than your present. She stood up and stormed off, leaving gasps and whispers in her wake. The little boys, twins with sharp eyes like their mother, spoke next. One asked innocently, "Mama, why is everyone staring at us?" Amara smiled and answered softly, "Because, my son, sometimes blessings are so loud they silence the mouths of those who once mocked you." The second boy looked at Kwame and said, "Is that man poor now?" The crowd burst into laughter, though some tried to cover their mouths. Kwame felt the ground opening beneath him. He had wanted to flaunt riches, but here he was, bankrupt in wealth, bankrupt in pride, bankrupt in respect. Amara looked at him one last time. "Kwame," she said, her voice no longer gentle but firm as iron, "I do not hate you. In fact, I thank you. Because if you had not abandoned me, I would not have discovered my true strength. You pushed me down, but God used that push to lift me higher." She turned to the elders. "Let today be a lesson to every man and woman here. Do not despise the humble beginnings of another. Do not trample on someone when they are down. For the same earth you spit upon may grow the tree that one day shades you." The elders clapped their hands in agreement. And with that, Amara took the hands of her triplets, returned to her Rolls-Royce, and drove away, leaving behind nothing but dust, silence, and the ruins of Kwame's pride. The wedding never continued. Guests quietly left, whispering to one another. Some pitied Kwame, others mocked him, but all agreed on one thing. Amara had won without raising a sword, without lifting her voice. Days later, Kwame became the talk of every market, every gathering, every beer parlor. The man who wanted to disgrace his ex-wife, but ended up disgraced himself. As for Amara, her life blossomed even more. Her business grew into a company, her husband stood proudly by her side, and her triplets became the joy of the village, symbols of resilience, blessings, and victory. The moral of the tale. This African tale carries a truth older than time. Never mock someone's struggles, for you do not know their tomorrow. Never despise a woman who stands by you in hard times, for her tears can water the soil of greatness. And most of all, never let pride blind you, because pride destroys faster than poverty. Kwame wanted to shame Amara, but in the end, she became the story of glory, while he became the story of warning. And so, the elders would later tell children under the moonlight. If you ever think of mocking the poor, remember Amara and her Rolls-Royce. Remember the triplets who silenced a wedding. And remember that destiny is written by God, not by man.